Welcome to the Northeast Kingdom Voice. I'm your host, Scott Wheeler. Today's guests are Pastor Larry Wall and Carol Comtois. They are here today to talk about a planned project to build a hospice house in Derby. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
First of all, I've heard about this, and I think this is, I think it's great what you guys are doing. And I think it's really needed in this area.
Well, thank you, Scott. It's good to be here, and thank you for the opportunity to share about this very, very well-needed project. And Carol here is the director, and maybe we could have her share how this started, how it came about, the vision, and then go from there, if that's okay with you. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
ahead, Carol.
I've been a nurse for 49 years this year, and it was a long time ago, 20 years ago, I had surgery and I was laid up for a while, and I had been doing OB nursing, and I ended up not being able to go back to the hospital. So I started working with hospice clients, home care and hospice, and it just really touched my heart. But during that time that I was recovering from surgery, I did receive, I felt like a vision that just showed a really warm hospice house, 4 rooms, just a home style. And where people could receive really one-on-one care and just have the community be involved in this hospice house, because this is for the community. And it's called Living Waters Hospice House. And what we plan on doing is providing the home and the caregivers. And also we'd be connected with the VNA, who would be providing care in the home like they would anybody else's home.
Right. And this is going to be built on the grounds up near the Church of God?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I've told my wife over the years, but particularly in more recent years, that when my life slows down, I want to work a bit in hospice, because I kind of have, to a degree, over the years as a writer, many of the people that I deal with are in the final chapter of their lives, and so I also, in doing that, I know some of the needs that are not being fulfilled in their lives, and I've actually kind of, because it isn't I just go interview them. I usually go back and visit, and a lot of times I actually, not to cut into your business, but I've led a fair numbers of celebration of life, because it's they look at my work as very important to them, and so when you get it built and you need a volunteer, I will probably be there.
All right.
That will be great, because we will need volunteers also. Yeah. That's a big part of it.
Well, Scott, what got me, of course, I served as a hospice chaplain for the VNA, but it's always been something on my heart. But it became more accelerated and more focused when we had people in our congregation that couldn't spend their last days in their home because they just didn't have the wherewithal. It was either too elderly people, and they just couldn't go home. So the other options were the nursing home or the hospital. And hospitals are geared to be a hospital, and nursing homes are nursing homes. And it just we wanted to do something that was totally focused in on that and have an atmosphere as close to home
Right.
as it can be. But what's unique about this thing is our partnership with the VNA. So on the medical side, they take care of all of that. They take care of the intake. You don't come to us. You go through VNA, and then the VNA would then send the client or the resident to the hospice house. So I don't know of anywhere here in the state. Of course, there's only one other hospice house. But that partnership, I've come to find out, working on different boards here in town, that if we're going to help meet the needs of our people in this great Northeast Kingdom, collaboration is key.
Right.
We need to collaborate, and that's what we want to do. But this is going to be a real great home where people can come and go through the process of dying with dignity and a positive experience, where it eases the burden on the family and actually involves them in making it a real precious experience.
Yeah, because, for us young whippersnappers like us that haven't even reached 40 yet, like the three of us, but when you are young, a lot of times you can't envision that the end can actually be a wonderful thing in its own.
That's right.
It's part. No matter what you believe, it's part of a journey that the three of us, we're not gonna be spared.
No.
Right.
And I don't think, because even amongst my peers, because they know that I feel, because I've been through this so many times, I've lost, we've lost three out of four parents. We've been through, issues in our own, but then also my many people that I've worked with.
Yeah.
There's nothing to be. It's not something to dread. It's not something to look forward to. Like I kind of like this earth.
Yeah.
But it's not. I think sometimes our society just kind of tries to turn a blind eye to the end, and it's not to make the people comfortable. A lot of times it's to shield yourself from your own mortality. And so that's why I think this is wonderful, because as a caregiver, especially older caregivers, doing that job is tough. Like, I don't know if you both have noticed, but sometimes, especially with older caregivers, the caregiver dies first because of the stress on them. So at least this is going to provide, because these couples who've been together 65, I think the couple I've interviewed the longest are 74 years. They at least don't have, no disrespect to nursing homes, because there is a place for nursing homes.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
But I think it'll give them another avenue, hopefully.
There again, there's that collaboration. We can take care of a need that they're not
Right.
Right.
And maybe that they're not equipped
to
for.
do. Yeah.
Right.
Or designed, it's not
Right.
designed. This will be specifically designed for it to be, in the plan, we have common areas, we have dining areas. The family can be private, each room is a private
Right.
room. The rooms are going to be well-equipped. Each room will be 300 square feet
Oh, really?
with a pull-out couch, what do they call those, sleeper beds, pull-out couch, recliner, so the family can hang out there as long as they want, so it'll be just like home, or even sometimes better than home, but it won't be like the hospital setting or nursing home setting where there's that busyness, that goes along that has to happen, but it robs of peace
Right.
and privacy.
Right.
if you will.
Right.
So how many rooms is this gonna be?
4.
For? And do you have any construction date starting?
Yes, we have, we are anticipating to break ground this fall, September, October, and that'll be phase 1, in that we need to hook into town sewer and water and prepare the site. And we have Rich LaFoe of Optimum, which is a branch of Ghostlands. He's our project manager. And so that'll be the first phase. And so connect sewer, water, and prepare the site. Then in the spring will be the next phase. And there are three phases that we're going to do this in. Of course, it all depends on the fundraising as well. We have Patricia Sears, most Northeast Kingdom knows Patricia, and she's our fundraiser grant writer, and she's been a great help. And so she's helping us with this. But that's the anticipated schedule. So it'll be, once we get started, probably a couple years before we move in.
Right. Now, is this directly affiliated with your church, or how is it?
No, I mean, this will be Living Waters Hospice House will have their own 501c3. It'll be a separate entity from the church. And what we're going to do as a church is lease the property to Living Waters Hospice House. We're going to do like a 99-year lease. So it'll be its own separate entity, but a lot of our church people will be working there, like Carol and like that. But it'll be its own separate entity, if you will.
So is it going to be like non-denominational?
Yeah, it's for everybody. It's not under a it won't be under a denomination, so to speak. It'll be its own entity, and everybody is welcome. But like I said before, the only way you can get in there is you have to go through the Vermont Nurses Association. They'll do the intakes, and so that's what would qualify you to come to Living Waters Hospice House.
So what do you need anything to make this happen? Are you are you doing fundraising?
Yes,
or?
yeah. We're starting now with different people that we're approaching, and as we go through the process of getting the foundation established, we'll go more. But we need money.
Right.
We're going to need, realistically, to build it is going to cost right around $3 million. But we want $3 million more because we're not charging. We're not charging people. It's all by donation. So when you come to Living Waters Hospice House, anybody can come, doesn't matter what your income is, there's no charge.
Right.
But we'll take donations. And so if there's we want to endow it with the other $3 million.
So how can somebody donate money?
Oh, that's a good question. You can go to, thank you for asking. You can go to livingwatershospicehouse.org, livingwatershospicehouse.org, and there you will see some nice video and so on, explaining more about it. But there's a donate button there. Or you can send donations to Living Waters Hospice House, Box 1104, Newport, Vermont, 05855.
How if they want to talk to somebody? How can they go about that?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, you can call me at 802-323-3639, 802-323-3639, or you can call Carol. Carol, give them your number.
And that's 802-673-9095, and please leave a message. And I'll get back to you for any questions.
I know this isn't a church owned, but I have to commend your church for, for, 'cause you're so community oriented. You do so many things. Like, I don't sit in the pews too often, but I do watch it online. And I gotta say, Pastor Wall, I've often noticed throughout the years, I swear, it's like you're sitting here saying, Scott, I'm watching you, and you will direct. And you're one of these pastors that you swear everybody. If you had 100 people there, there's probably at least 90 of them thinking you're talking right at them because you really do have a knack. I haven't noticed you jumping on chairs in recent years, but you used to really
Get excited, yeah.
get excited.
Yeah.
But no, you really do have a knack, and your church does a lot of good things. Instead of just, I think some churches, they have a habit of just rallying around themselves,
Yeah.
and thus their numbers don't grow or they even shrink with the passage of times. I think your church kind of gets it.
Well, Scott, when I first came here, ever since I've been called to ministry, I said, I want to have a church that touches the community. And when I first came here, which was 30 some odd years ago, my vision was to be a pastor that equips people to do works of service.
Right.
And when I first came, talking about hospice, there was a lady by the name of Judy Adams, and she was conducting hospice training. And they were doing it at the Newport United Church.
Right.
It was Helping Hands, hospice and Helping Hands. And I said, what an opportunity for us to get involved. And I had like 12 people from that church that was running about 35, 40 volunteer and go down and get the training
Right.
for hospice. That's how we got involved in that way. And they were trained and set forth. And we had our first assignment was a lady in Derby who was in the last stages of her life, and her husband would have to go to work. And so we had a rotating schedule. Two people would come and sit with her for 2 hours. Then another team would come for 2 hours from 7 in the morning till 5 at night, till her husband got home. And we really were able to serve that person very, very well. And that's actually where this started. So this was way back then that we got involved and saw what a blessing we could be to the families of those that were dealing with a family member in their last stages of life. And so that started the community outreach. Since then, we have I have a right-hand man by the name of Tim Ingalls. We grow a huge garden, feed people. We feed people at Thanksgiving time. Before COVID, the Thanksgiving before COVID, we prepared and delivered over 500 meals the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Last year it was 300 because it's of COVID. I mean, we're getting it back up. But we grow the garden. We have a storehouse that's full of furniture right now for anybody in need. All of that kind of stuff. And we call it the Matthew 25. And that's a commission that Christ gave us, was to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, visit people in prison, be with the hurting, and so on. So it's just a part of the commission, and we take that seriously.
Yeah, and I think sometimes people of faith sometimes think they have to pound people over the head.
No.
But sometimes it's like, for example, one thing touched me was one of my boys, his in-laws are from up near the North Pole. Well, a little bit exaggeration, but it's Fort Kent, Maine.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And during the sled dog races, this church group went around, and cold day, and we're just giving out hot chocolate, and all it said on it was brought to you by whatever church it was.
Yeah,
There wasn't
yeah.
any. There wasn't anything.
No fanfare.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
fanfare.
yeah.
They just
Yeah.
handed it.
Yeah, it's all about service.
Right. You know, back to the hospice concept. I think a lot of us, when we think of hospice, we think of old people. Not always the case.
No, that's a good point.
And because there's kids in hospice.
Yeah.
There's people in their 50s in hospice, and so when you were talking about the struggles that you were talking about this person when you first started, about the husband or wife had to go to work and everything. So you have some people on hospice while their spouse it still has to pay the bills.
That's right.
Because I'm going to tell you, I know very well, being a caregiver, it brings with it real struggles. And
Yeah.
and when I say struggles, I don't mean that in a negative sense, because most caregivers are very honored
Yes.
to be, family members are very honored to be taken care of. It's sometimes they just need the support, and that's where the VNA really comes in handy
Yes.
too. I think we're very fortunate to have them.
They're
Yes,
excellent.
absolutely.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
so,
It's a great agency.
so we
I
only have,
like-
about
Scott,
7 more minutes left.
Yeah, I like the word challenge.
Right.
Challenges rather than struggles.
That's-
Challenges.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
I think
challenge. It's a challenge, but
Right. Figuring out your schedule and all
Yeah.
of that. That's
yeah. And one of the things about hospice is that, as I've observed, the way that it works the best, you have to have a little time in between, Once you accept that these are your last days and that you sign on to hospice. Now you're resigned to go through the process of death.
Right.
Hospice, what hospice does is it engages everybody, every meaningful person to that client or resident or whatever you want to, or the person that's in the home, clergy, family, volunteers, and get a schedule going where that support system can really make a difference. And it takes a little bit of time, It takes a little bit of time to, maybe a month to really get it flowing. Am I accurate
yes,
with that?
you are,
To
because
really get it flowing.
so many times people come on to hospice too late.
Yes.
I'm thinking, the last week or so, and
Yeah.
it's very difficult
You're not
to be
able
able to
to
get
do-
the services
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
And, I just want to make a comment, and it's actually on the cover of our brochure. And it just says that healing isn't always a cure, but it's a piece of the heart. And
absolutely.
I think that is just so true, and that's our mission,
Yeah.
is to be able to bring people at peace with their families.
Yeah.
It means so much.
Let me read that. Healing does not mean that a cure will occur, but that the heart will come to rest.
Yes.
I recently had a person near and dear to me say, once she realized she's not afraid of death, it allowed her to truly live, and it was
Yes.
it was almost it was a sense of peace for her.
Yes.
Unfortunately, some people view that as giving up. Oh no, that's not it.
No,
It's
no.
not giving up.
No.
It's letting go and saying, I am going to live.
Amen.
And so now with only a couple more minutes left, again, I can't thank you enough for doing what you're doing, because as I said, I've been working with particularly older people
Yes.
and following them through their final chapter of their life. And young people, old people, this is so much needed, and I want to have you come back on the show anytime you want, and I'll do anything I can to help you.
Yeah. Well, Scott, I really appreciate all that you're doing for the NEK.
Well, thank
And
you.
you're a unique kind of a fellow, and it's good to have the history, because history tells us where we've come from, and if we don't know where we've come from, it's very difficult to know where to go,
Right.
in the future. And And I'm just so appreciative. And thank you for mentioning the VNA. We're appreciative
Oh, yeah.
of their work.
My wife graduated with Lynn.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah, we go way back with,
Yeah.
we go way
So-
back with, I will say this in closing, weaving in my history, we're only kind of bringing back what has always been, historically the case. You
Yes.
stayed in your home,
Yeah,
and, maybe the palliative care and such wasn't quite up to par what it is now, but
Right.
people, so you're
Yes.
actually, you're moving forward by going backwards in a way,
yeah.
because you're going back to the day, because even back then, a lot of the funerals were done,
Yes.
right in the
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
yeah.
But then all of a sudden we began thinking we were immortal.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Can I share my saying?
Let's hear what?
In closing, my
Yeah.
saying?
Oh, yeah.
It's a beautiful day in the NEK, a blessing to live in the 802, right here in latitude 45, where halfway is far enough, but half measures avail us nothing. There.
Okay, and you're fine. Do you have any profound saying like that?
Well,
or-
I don't have anything profound like that, but I will say that this Northeast Kingdom is awesome.
Yes.
The hospice care is just really upbeat, and it's just a team of people at the VNA, and they do reach out, and I just can't say enough good things.
No, they do. They really do a super job. And whenever whether it's for my aging father or whatever, or one of my, I can't say my clients, or somebody I'm recording the story of, because they ask for direction, and I'll say, well, call such and such a VNA, and they at least will be able to,
Right.
direct you in the right direction. So,
Right.
no, I think we're so fortunate to have them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, thank you both for coming on, and I want you back on. Maybe we can even have you on come groundbreaking time. All right,
Okay.
thank
Great.
you.
You're welcome.
And thank you to
Thank
the
you.
viewers for tuning in to another segment of the Northeast Kingdom Voice.